a canvassing of Chouteau's Landing in 2022 before they might start sprucing up the place. If you know about St. Louis, you probably have heard of Laclede's Landing and the historic, now entertainment, dining, and increasingly residential district on the Mississippi River just north of the Arch and the Eads Bridge. But much less well known is Chouteau's Landing just south of the Arch grounds and the Poplar Street Bridge. That's probably because it is a historic industrial area, tightly isolated by major interstates and pockmarked with decay and dwindling structures not featured on many tourist maps or realty websites. While a few sparse businesses and a super-historic church still operate in this area, much of what is left is abandoned, neglected, and littered with moderate amounts of graffiti and trash. It's been this way for decades, as long as I can remember, going back to the 1990s. It is an eerie place, but a popular connector to the St. Louis riverfront for joggers, cyclists, and visiting tourists who may likely suddenly feel they have made a seriously wrong turn somewhere. With talks of redevelopment looming again in 2022, this film takes a slow look around the area with multiple shots from various angles and in an extended, deliberate way. The redevelopment plan, cited to cost $1.2 billion, comes from a New York firm who seemingly have a number of development successes to their credit. But from what I could gather, none of those were anywhere near the proposed magnitude of this one. The building shell attached to this one by this unusual but well-photographed 4-story bridge is known as Number 5. Was built in 1912 and burned out in December 2011, just before its centennial anniversary. On the bright side, several of these buildings are on the National Register of Historic Places, so whatever happens, those will hopefully be safely restored for preservation. One is St. Mary of Victories, the second oldest Catholic church in St. Louis, circa 1843. But the big feature here is the Crendon Martin Complex, a collection of 7 mostly brick buildings built from 1904 to 1920 or so. Crendon Martin was a manufacturer of furniture and other various products for nearly 100 years and can trace its roots back to 1876, but closed in 1990. The whole 500,000 square foot complex was sold at auction in 1992 for an astoundingly measly $90,000. That's 18 cents per square foot to you and me. Since then, the building has subsequently hosted a few other commercial purposes in the last 30-odd years, including a banking vault operation and the current last standing resident, the Acme Janitorial Supply Company, the first choice of any discerning while e-custodian. This non-conforming concrete corner building known as Number 7 was the latest addition, designed by Tom Barnett and Company in 1920. And now for an unsolicited personal rant. I suppose it's a challenging spot to repurpose as medium-sized industrial manufacturing shrivels on the vine, especially with all these legally entrenched railroad trestles everywhere. But I have a theory as to why maybe this plan has a better chance where several others have failed. Just look at all the seemingly wasted real estate on the downtown riverfront. Now imagine you're a developer from New York where everything is inordinately expensive and they make building stuff as difficult as possible with a million hurdles. And after that, about a fourth of the space you make has to go to profitless government price-controlled housing stipulations. And then here in St. Louis is a massive and cheap property of would-be prime real estate with just a couple minor historical compliances to incorporate, in a city glad to throw free taxes at you, and will let you fill the thing up with expensive apartments if you like, and demand relatively small fees to unburden themselves of this decades-old blighted hot potato. As I consider myself a proper Missourian despite what my birth certificate says, whenever I hear a development cost number, the first thing I do is multiply it by 1.5, especially if local tax incentives get involved, which they surely will, as recent history teaches us that's the only way big developers will let go of the big carrots they dangle. Now don't get me wrong, I'm all for correcting the embarrassing blight allowed to occur right at the front doorstep to the city. Just not for giving away the farm every time we try to get anything done. For once, I'd like to see the private developer put in all the money and then take all the subsequent profit, minus the standard taxes that would be generated already on the books. Whatever happened to simple and fair? That's the way it works for our local entrepreneurial citizens making one-off neighborhood ice cream and retail shops or industry services, but I don't hear about any of those businesses getting tax increment financing. I should probably curb my ignorant tongue with such unpopular opinions now because I don't want or need any enemies in this town. So I will just get on with my usual MO of sanitized tour guide. One of the most important and prominent features of the area is St. Mary of Victory's Hungarian Catholic Church on South 3rd Street between Cedar and Gratiot, a street only locals know how to pronounce and yet still debate over. In the background here you can see the MacArthur Street Bridge, the once Missouri entrance to Route 66 since 1933. It has only serviced train traffic since 1981 when they closed the automobile deck, which coincidentally was finally being dismantled during the time of this filming. There are 3 or 4 recreational horse and buggy operations in this little area, and I wonder if they will have to go if all this happens. This green grassy parcel was the former site of Powell Square, another in the long list of lost historical structural utilities of St. Louis that was fought about for many years with multiple redevelopment attempts and proposals until everyone gave up and just tore it down in 2013. I'm going to end the recircuitation there for now, but I wish this project well and hope it is done to my liking. Not that it matters, because ultimately I am nobody but a lens, capturing and curating a little supplementation to documentation during the relatively short time I am enjoying my existence between the earth and the sky. Perhaps some of the more experienced viewers of my work may have perceived that once I deliver the TYFW, metaphorically class is dismissed and they can watch something else now, as there will be no new information coming forth that is worth sticking around for. But I'd like to point out the movie is only half over and there's a lot of really cool shots and angles coming up that you might like to see. And with that, thank you for watching.